Have you ever wondered who are the biggest narcissists to ever exist? In this video, we will examine exactly that. Let's start with Caligula. Caligula was a Roman emperor who ruled from 37 to 41 CE. Caligula's reign was marked by his extreme narcissism and cruelty. He was known for his extravagance and excess, often indulging in lavish banquets and lavish displays of opulence. He would demand that people treat him as a god, and he would often force others to worship him. Caligula was also known for his depravity and sexual promiscuity. He would engage in incestuous relationships with his sisters. One of the most notorious aspects of Caligula's reign was his willingness to execute people on a whim. He would often order the execution of people who posed even the slightest threat to his power, and he would often do so in public, displaying their bodies as a warning to others. Caligula's reign was marked by significant unrest and turmoil, and many of his actions were seen as destabilizing to the Roman Empire. He was eventually assassinated in 41 CE by a group of conspirators who had grown tired of his tyrannical rule. We continue with Joseph Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union from the mid-1920s until his death in 1953. He is widely regarded as one of history's most notorious narcissists. He was known for his extreme egocentricity, his lack of empathy for others, and his willingness to engage in ruthless and brutal tactics to maintain power. Stalin's narcissistic tendencies were apparent throughout his life and career. He believed that he was uniquely qualified to lead the Soviet Union, and he surrounded himself with sycophants and loyalists who reinforced this belief. He was known for his extreme paranoia, and he saw enemies and traitors everywhere, even among his closest associates. One of the most significant aspects of Stalin's narcissism was his willingness to use violence and terror to maintain power. He oversaw the execution of millions of Soviet citizens during his reign, often on flimsy or trumped-up charges of disloyalty. He also engaged in purges of the Communist Party, systematically removing anyone who posed a potential threat to his rule. Stalin's narcissism was also evident in his cult of personality, which portrayed him as a larger-than-life figure who was essential to the success of the Soviet Union. His image was ubiquitous throughout the country, and he was often depicted as a heroic figure who embodied the ideals of the Communist Party. Overall, Stalin's extreme narcissism had a profound impact on the Soviet Union and the world at large. His willingness to use violence and terror to maintain power, combined with his insane sense of self-importance, contributed to a reign of terror that lasted for decades and left a lasting impact on Soviet society. Next we have Alexander the Great, the Macedonian king who lived in the 4th century BCE. Alexander was a complex figure, known for his willingness to engage in risky and reckless behavior. He believed that he was a god and demanded that his soldiers worship him. He was also known for his charisma and his ability to inspire loyalty and devotion in his followers. Alexander's military campaigns were marked by his willingness to take risks and engage in unconventional tactics. Despite his many accomplishments, Alexander was not without his flaws. He was known to be hot-tempered and prone to violence. Alexander died at the age of 32, under mysterious circumstances. We continue with Napoleon Bonaparte, the French military and political leader who rose to prominence during the French Revolution. He is often described as one of history's most narcissistic figures, willing to do whatever it took to achieve his goals. One of the most significant aspects of Napoleon's narcissism was his belief in his own superiority. He saw himself as a singular figure who was uniquely qualified to lead France and reshape the political and social landscape of Europe. He was known for his arrogance, his impatience with those who disagreed with him, and his tendency to view himself as infallible. Napoleon's narcissism was also evident in his ambitions. He saw himself as a military genius and sought to conquer and dominate much of Europe. His military campaigns were marked by brutal tactics and a willingness to sacrifice the lives of his soldiers in pursuit of victory. He was known for his ego-driven decisions, such as the disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812, which ultimately contributed to his downfall. Additionally, Napoleon was known for his cult of personality, which depicted him as a heroic figure who embodied the ideals of the French Revolution. Overall, Napoleon's extreme narcissism had a profound impact on France and the world at large. His grandiose ambitions and ego-driven decisions contributed to a legacy of warfare and political upheaval that lasted for decades after his death. While he remains a significant historical figure, his legacy is often viewed through the lens of his narcissism and its impact on his decisions and actions. Next is Nero. Nero was a Roman emperor who reigned from AD 54 to 68, and he is often regarded as one of the most narcissistic and tyrannical leaders in history. Nero was known for his extreme self-absorption, his lack of empathy for others, and his willingness to use violence and cruelty to maintain power. He saw himself as a godlike figure, and he demanded that others treat him accordingly. He was known for his extravagance and lavish spending, which often came at the expense of the Roman people. Nero's narcissism was also evident in his willingness to use violence and cruelty to maintain power. He was responsible for the execution of numerous Roman citizens, including members of his own family, and he engaged in brutal campaigns of repression against political opponents. Another aspect of Nero's narcissism was his desire for attention and adulation. He was known for his love of the performing arts, and he would often perform on stage himself, even though he was widely regarded as a mediocre actor and singer. He also demanded that others praise him constantly and would often punish those who failed to do so. Overall, Nero's extreme narcissism had a profound impact on the Roman Empire. His willingness to use violence and cruelty contributed to a reign of terror that left a lasting impact on Roman society. While he is remembered as one of history's most infamous narcissists, he is also a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ego and self-absorption. We have the Vlad the Impaler next, also known as Vlad Dracula. He was a medieval ruler of Wallachia, a region in modern-day Romania. He was infamous for his extreme cruelty and sadism. He saw himself as a powerful and fearsome leader, and he used violence and cruelty to reinforce this image. He was known for impaling his enemies and displaying their bodies in public as a warning to others, which was where his nickname the Impaler came from. Vlad's narcissism was also evident in his extreme paranoia and distrust of others. He was known for his brutality towards anyone who opposed him, including members of his own family and court. He saw threats and conspiracies everywhere and was quick to respond with violence and punishment. Vlad's narcissism was also evident in his obsession with control and domination. He sought to impose his will on those around him and was willing to use extreme violence and cruelty to achieve his goals. He was known for his sadistic punishments and was said to enjoy the suffering of his victims. His paranoia and sadism contributed to a reign of terror that left a lasting impact on the people of the region. Finally, there's Adolf Hitler. Hitler's extreme narcissism played a significant role in his rise to power and his subsequent actions as leader of Nazi Germany. He saw himself as a powerful and charismatic leader who was destined to lead Germany to greatness. He was obsessed with the idea of a master race and believed that he was the only one capable of realizing this vision. He was known for his over-the-top public speeches, which were designed to stir up emotions and rally his followers. Hitler was notorious for his brutal purges of anyone who he perceived as a threat, including members of his own party and the German military. Another aspect of Hitler's narcissism was his willingness to use violence and cruelty to achieve his goals. He was responsible for the deaths of millions of people during World War II, including 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. Hitler's extreme narcissism had a profound impact on world history. His grandiose sense of self-importance, combined with his paranoia and willingness to use violence and cruelty, contributed to one of the darkest periods in human history. There we have it, the biggest, most cruel narcissists in history. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. We recommend the video on what happens to narcissists once they turn 40 next.